everyone, I hope you can hear me. I don't know if there's anyone in here, but if you can, I would love it if you can let me know if you can hear me. I'm opening my YouTube page now. Let me just put off. And I figured out it's a good thing if I stream it live, then I can see what you see. So that's kind of nice. So I see a couple of people have joined me. Hi, can you hear me? Is the sound good? Is the sound okay? And I just need to lower this thing a little bit. Sorry about that. It's there you go. Okay, thank you, Debbie, for telling me that my sound is perfect. We're going to start in just a second. I just want to set up my workspace quickly, and then we'll get started. So I think the light is good. Let me just see if I can adjust the light. I cannot. So that's kind of, oops. Okay. All right, let's start. So I'm going to have a drawing for you to download, and then you can paint with me. So let me explain to you what's going on now. This will be the drawing that I'll give you to download, and you can just print it out, and then we're going to trace it. So I figured out if you use watercolor paper, you can just trace it against the window. You put it against the window and then you can trace it. But because I can't show you that, I'm going to just use Tia's light box. So this is such a cool thing. And I have to ask her where she got it, but I didn't. It's not mine, it's Tia's. So I'm going to just use it, and then, but you can use a window. So just use a window, it's so easy. And then I'm just going to use a pencil, and this is what we're going to do now. We're going to trace our drawing. Okay, so this might take a little while to do, but if you bear with me, I'm going to show you my whole process. And watercolors to me is honestly like a meditation. It's one of my absolute favorite things to do, and I'm just going to show you from the beginning to the end how we're going to draw this little image. And also I want to encourage you to do it with me, and then hold on to it, because maybe in the next couple of days when I have a moment, I'm actually still working, I might have time to do a art journal page with this little watercolor that we just painted. So I think it will be beautiful if we can just put it on an art journal page, hey? So this is a little boring. I probably could have done a little prep work in advance, but today I didn't have time. So I'm just going to keep on tracing. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just want more or less the lines of what we're doing on here. If you have any questions, just, oh, Kirsten, yes, Kirsten, I want coffee. I love it when my children interrupt my work. So I have all my kids home, and it's actually so much fun to have them here. We're all under self-isolation, and they just bought a Nintendo, and they're playing Mario, so it's so much fun to listen to them playing and screaming, and to me it's just the most beautiful noise ever. My girls are 18, 20 and 22, but when they play Mario Kart you'll think they're like 5 and 6 and 8, so that's actually so cute. Anyway, I Tia, are you watching? Tia, can you just leave a comment telling us where did you get the light box? I would love to tell everyone. I actually did ask her, but I forgot to listen to what she had to say. So this light box is really awesome, and it has different settings, so you can switch it off and then you can adjust the lightness of it. I don't know how. By tapping it, I don't know. Well, anyway, so there's ways to, you don't have to make it as bright as it is. I'm just using a little pencil and I'm just doing a very light drawing of my flowers, and of course you can do your own drawing. You don't have to use mine. I'm just always so mindful if someone is trying something out for the very first time, then I want to stack all the odds in your favor, and I want to give you the home court advantage so that you can also do something that is pretty and that you can feel proud of, and that will encourage you to just do more. So that's the reason why I like to make things simple. But I know there are a lot of artistic people out there, and you are so welcome to just do your own drawing. But have an image that's more or less long, so that when we're going to cut it out and we're going to make an art journal page with it, maybe in the next video, then it will oh, Tia says she got the light box on Amazon for around $30. So this is a great purchase. So thank you, Kirsten, for answering that question for me. Okay, so one more, then we're done. Then we're going to start painting. And I'll show you the paints that I use. And I'll show you everything. Okay, so now I'm done. And I'm just going to switch this off. And I'm just going to move it to the side. So just excuse me for a second. Okay. So now I'm just going to readjust my, mind you, I think it's good. Now I'm just going to pull everything closer. So I'm going to, the paint that I love is this palette called the Kuretake watercolors. So there's 4, 8, 12, 16, 32, 36 colors, and I love that. But also because I like to paint with pinks, I am going to use some Winsor & Newton, just watercolor paints. So this is just in little tubes. So what happens sometimes is they get hard because I don't close the lids properly, and then you can just snip off a piece and literally squeeze it out. It's quite dry, and then you can just add water to it, and that's another way to get the juices flowing again. And then I'm also using this little palette, and this is just for those odd colors that I can't find anywhere else. Important is to use clean water. So I'm going to use 2 bottles, one for the greens and one for the pinks, and then you just want small watercolor brushes. Okay. Okay, no more. I'm just looking at the questions. Okay, Yes, Kirsten, make me whatever you're making for breakfast. I don't mind. We're doing a brunch today. Okay, so first of all, when I paint any kind of acrylic painting or watercolors, I like to use pinks, and I paint all my flowers first, and then I paint the leaves, and then I do whatever is left to do. So I'm going to start with mixing in a little water with this beautiful color, and you can see that I'm not using a paper plate, just so you know. I'm using a, a glass plate, and it's very easy to clean. Okay, and now I'm just going to start painting my little drawing. So this is not just coloring, it's there's a little technique to watercolor. So you want to add some water to your brush, and then I'm just going to paint the outlines and maybe fill in here and there. But the biggest trick when you do watercolors is you want to layer the colors, but you can only layer it when it's dry, unless you want it, the look to be like more, you know, faded or blended. Then you definitely want to add a little bit of another color to it while it's wet. Let me just show you. So if I add a little pink to that, it will blend in, but because it's the same hue, you won't really see it. So I'm just going to leave this one for now, and then I'm just going to paint the next one. And next up I'm going to paint this little rose. So I'm using a rose color mixed with some white water, and then I'm just going to paint this little flower. Hi Jenny, what pencil did I use? Hi Zeffie. So I'm just using graphite HB, and in fact I have a whole bunch of them. So as long as any pencil will work here. You don't have to have a special pencil. Just don't go too dark when you draw your drawing. Just do it lightly. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of paint there. Clean my brush. Let me just move it up slightly. It's a little low on the video, so I want you to see everything. Okay, and now I'm just going to paint a little more. So this one, I'm just going to do a light wash basically of the petals. So when I get close to this flower and it's still wet, it's going to flow, but that's okay because it's more or less the same color, right? So, and I'm going to leave the inside of this flower clean because we're going to add yellow. Okay, now I want to paint my dahlia, and I'm going to use, I'll show you because it's off my camera. I'm just going to use this beautiful violet color, Violent Violet, and then I'm just going to paint the middle with it. Oh, I'm getting coffee, yay, you can just put it there. Thank you. And I'm just going to paint this flower with this beautiful, beautiful color. It's honestly one of my absolute favorite colors. So I don't want that one to flow in there, so I'm just going to use a paint cloth and just dab it. And then just going to continue painting. Yeah, the pencil doesn't really show through. I want to do very vivid colors on this one, so I'm not going to, hopefully the pencil won't, and even if it shows through, it's not really a problem. So again, this will dry lighter, but that's fine because I want it to I want to layer colors on it. Next up, I'm going to paint my I don't know what's this flower called, probably some kind of lily, but I want to paint it with an orange, a light orange, and I just want it to dry light again. You see, you don't want that to happen, but I'm gonna let it go. It's okay, it's okay, it's not the end of the world. And then I'm just gonna paint my rose petals, or this buds. Just gonna paint it a light red. So I'm using quite a bit of water. You can see how much water I'm using, and that's the beauty of watercolors. When it dries, you get that stunning look. I'll come a little closer and just show you how lovely it dries when when it gets dry. I love how this is drying, so it's quite nice. You just have to be a little patient with it. And I am going to use my embossing tool to dry my painting a little quicker, because I want to carry on with the next color, and I don't have the luxury of waiting for it to dry naturally today. So I'm just going to add a little yellows along here in the middle. I'll add some more detail in later on, and I might just add a little yellow there. Okay, and then I also have these embellishments that I'm going to do in yellow. Okay, so now I'm just going to make a noise and take a sip of coffee and just quickly dry it with my embossing tool. Sorry about that. Cheers. Okay, Zephy, you asked about a color. I wonder which one it was. Was it this violet color? I think that's the only one I really spoke about. Okay, so now I'm going to start layering my color again with even more rich, even a more rich color. Okay, yeah, it's a violet, and I'm just going to paint again, but just very, it's almost like just adding a little bit of color here and there. And this is how I like to layer my watercolor colors. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same with the rose, and this time I'm just going to use a different shade to paint with it. Maybe fill it in just a little bit with a lighter color, and then with this rose I'm just going to use this beautiful color called alizarin crimson. And you know what, I'm going to switch out my paintbrush for a slightly smaller one. So I'm just going to keep on painting. So I'm just going to basically retrace my steps here and altering the width of my paintbrush. So it might be and then I want to do the same here. So I just want to really make it a focus point. And I'm using a lot of pigment on my watercolor page. So I do apologize if you hear my girls in the background. They are noisy and they forget when I tell them to be quiet. And then I'm going to add this beautiful alizarin crimson color also just on my rose buds. And again, when you layer color like this, it just makes it so pretty. And I'm going to wet my brush and then I'm just going to blend it in with a clean brush. I'm using Canson watercolor paper. If you watch my video from yesterday, you'll see that I actually talk about that, but I'm using the exact same color, paper, not color, paper. And now I'm just painting a little bit of the orange back, not black, back. And later on I'll even add a little bit more orange to this. Layering color with watercolor is really rewarding, and it's okay. And then I want to paint with a little bit of pink on this yellow flower. Okay, so I like how it's coming along so far. And now I'm going to use a little bit more pigment, and I'm just going to paint a little bit of detail back on my peony. I don't know if it is a peony, but it looks like one to me. So I'm just doing it on the, you know, the petals, just one side of the petals. No, I don't want to eat now. Okay. I'm recording.
Okay, sorry.
And then I'm just going to shame. They made me breakfast, aren't they nice? And then okay, hi Eva, welcome. You know what? You just have to practice, and our intention is always to fill in the white, you know, fill in every part of it, but to leave a little bit of, you know, white areas here and there. I don't know, it just gives it a lot of air and light and beauty, you know, so it depends. Okay, and then I'm going to do a little bit more on the orange flower, and now I'm just going to be a little painterly with it and just do a little bit of detail and adding a tiny bit of water to my orange, because when it dries it will just be beautiful. So I'm just going to remind everyone that joined a little late that you if you paint this with me, save your painting, because we're going to use it on our art journal page. Maybe a little later in the week I'll do another live video with an art journal page using this image. So I think it can be really pretty. And now I'm just going to use some very pigmented yellow, and I'm just going to paint on there. You can see the details are coming together. And then the last thing I want to do here before I switch to green is I'm just going to use a little bit of white paint. This is white watercolor paint, and I'm just going to mix it in with a little bit of pink. So what this do is it will actually, it's white watercolor paint. Let me show you. Where is my white paint? Here. It's called Chinese white, and I actually mixed it in with a little bit of white acrylic ink. And that way you get a really lovely pigmented white. So let me show you. When I paint on it, it will block everything underneath it. So the trick is now to be very gentle and not overdo your this color, because it might, it might be too much. So if you're very gentle and you just add it here and there, it can be really pretty. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Just add a little bit more pink in there. And I love how this is coming together. I love this beautiful purple flower, and in fact let's just paint a little bit more on the purple flower and then I'll call it a day. So now I'm just going to use markings. There you go. And so far I think I'm happy. So let's leave it for now. We can always paint in more a little later. But look how lovely this is drying. So I'm just loving this look. Let me just show you. You can see how beautiful it is when you layer watercolor and the effect that happens. That's what I love about it. Alright, so now I'm just going to switch my water around and I'm going to use a brush. And I think, let me see if I can move it over slightly. Okay, if you have any questions, just ask me, okay? So I don't know everything. I'm probably, if someone that's really good with watercolor is watching me, then like, oh, this woman has no idea what she's talking about. But I don't care. It works for me. I'm just showing you what works for me. So I want to move it over slightly more. I really want you to see the palette and all the colors I'm working on. So let me try and see if I can get it all in one shot. Okay, I'm getting there, right? But now the artist in me, this is a gap that I want to fill, so I'm just gonna put something pretty there. Let's put some watercolors there. Okay, so now I'm going to start. So you can see on this palette how many greens there are. It's just amazing, and I'm going to use every single one of them because every single leaf can be a different color. Why not, right? So lots of water on my paintbrush, and I'm just going to paint. I love this, and I love, you're going to see how it's going to dry. It's just going to be so pretty with the green. The green really makes the biggest difference when you paint flowers, in my opinion, is the moment you add the green parts to it, it just becomes stunning. Okay, so now I'm switching to a smaller brush, and I'm just going to so this part I actually want a little darker, so I'm going to marine. I think this is called marine green or hooker's green. It's really dark. I'm just mixing and blending it in. Okay. Um, so don't worry if you can watch. Just drink your coffee or your wine if it's wine o'clock at your place with me and watch, and then I will put this on my channel and you can rewatch it and maybe do a watercolor with me, and then keep that for our art journal page that's coming after that, you know. So and I also love this turquoise. This is probably one of my favorite colors as well. I have so many favorite colors. So when you paint with a lot of water, it will dry with that beautiful watercolor look. And what I love about that is you can actually just later on go back and layer it with detail. You know, so everything that we paint here is fixable. First of all, you can fix it, and then and layerable. You know, so later on you can go back and just layer. I'm just switching to a slightly bigger brush because you can see how lovely it looks when you add just a little bit of color to wet paint. You know, that's a nice little trick as well. And then smaller brush again. You know, I'm doing this not only for, I know, I am doing it for you, but I get really the most, you know, the most out of it because this to me is therapy for my heart as well. And I'm just so happy if I can bless someone else with that, you know? Okay, I see there's a question. I noticed that you use colors straight out of the pot. Is there a reason for this? Yes, because I'm lazy. um, yeah, you can use a wax resist technique, you know, to leave bright white highlights. You can also use masking fluid. You know, there's so much that you can use for that. And maybe that can be a very interesting tutorial, is just to use masking fluid. But you know what, for me, I just sometimes want to paint, and I like using paint straight out of the pot because first of all, with watercolors you can't really mix watercolors like you can mix acrylic paint. Well, you can, but it's not really the idea. The idea is that you use water, more or less water, to get the effect that you want. And then also with watercolors, it just the way it dries is so different than acrylic paint. So I will do an acrylic paint tutorial at some point, and you'll see then it's the same but it's also different. The other thing why I like to use paint right out of the tube is because it's duplicatable. So once I start mixing colors, especially when I do like acrylic paints or something like that, then it can be a little bit confusing because how do you teach someone, you know, that's new maybe to painting to um, you know, to mix this percent of color with this percent is just a little a little technical for me, so I just like to do it as simple as possible. So I hope that answers your question, Ashley. But I honestly, maybe I'm just lazy and blonde. So, okay. I'm just so excited to use this illustration. So I did two, one to practice because I just had to practice a little bit. And then this one where I'm doing it. So one I'm going to use on an art journal page, and the other one I'm going to use on a little gift that our family is giving another family who lost a loved one. And luckily, well, not luckily, I'm sorry, this, but I mean, not to the coronavirus, just something else. But you know, we don't want to deliver flowers to them, but we want to give them flowers. So we're going to just send them a little box with goodies and to eat, and then this image, you know. So it's kind of special. So I'm not doing this just for me. I'm doing this actually for someone else. So it just makes it extra special to me. I like the different colors. You can see how lovely it's getting together. You know, it's coming together rather, and getting together. So I'm just going to add a little bit of a different color on these leaves because the mint is a little too much for me. But I'm using a lot of water, so not too much pigment, but a lot of water. And then I'm also going to just be painting the inside so that it looks like there's adherence, you know, like it just that they are coherent, not adherent, coherent. So I'm just using a little bit of turquoise for that. And it also just grounds the whole image for me. You can use your artistic freedom and do whatever, absolutely whatever you want. I mean, this is just an idea. This is not the be all end all of what your painting should look like. Just a little bit of red because I want to give this peony just a little bit of groundedness here. Just too much paint, and I'm just gonna make sure the inside is dark so that it looks like okay. So now most of my colors are on and I'm happy with it. I'm just gonna dry it. So I'm sorry about thank you Zefi for saying that. She said your lessons both today and yesterday were the medicine I needed. Absolutely, for these days, and it's not only for you. I think it's for every single one of us. Okay, so I'm just gonna dry it. So I'm gonna make a little bit of a noise. I apologize for that. Cheers. Sorry about that noise. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and do a little bit more detail, and then we're done. It's not a lot that I have to add to this. I want to do the middle of this dahlia flower a little bit darker, so I'm just adding a tiny bit of black to my. I just want to give it a little bit more definition. It looks a little bit blah, even though the details are quite nice. Okay, so I like that, and then I'm just going to maybe add a tiny bit of definition here. Not a lot, just a little bit, and then maybe just a little bit here. Okay, so there you can see. So Laura, I don't know if you watched from the beginning, but I did a tracing, and I will have this image available for you to trace, and you can just put it up against the window and just trace it. So it's going to be so much fun and so easy to do. So you don't have to sweat about the drawing, you know. So yeah, so just go back and rewatch the video from the beginning once I've uploaded it, and then you can just join in and just do your tracing. Okay, so I'm going to change a few things here from my drawing. This looks a little empty, so I'm just going to go ahead and just fill it in with a few leaves. So I'm cheating. And I just want to add a little bit of watercolor to the bottom half so that it will blend up by itself. So it will travel. So I'm not going to and I also want to do the same on this side. Just want to do a little bit of a bridge here between these flowers, because remember one thing, if I cut it out, I want some solid pieces to work with, right? So that's fine. And I can even add a little bit of darkness in here. Well, darkness, dark color. And then, you know what, if you really want to start doodling on this, you can. So what you can do is use a little bit of white paint. Just get clean water. My water is not completely clean. And then you can just, you know, put in even more detail if you want to. Your paintbrush should just be really small, and this is where the white acrylic ink really helps, so that you keep your, you know, the opaqueness of the paint. You can put in so much fun details here that I wonder if this is dry, it would be beautiful if I can just... Okay, let's see how steady my hand is. That's okay. It's actually quite daunting to do it on a, you know, on a live video, because if I do it pre-recorded, I can fix it if I, you know, make a mistake. But the good thing is I've done it so many times that it's not that hard, and I don't feel too intimidated. So you can see, you can really play around with the doodles and just have so much fun with it, and make it really interesting and beautiful and fun. And this is, I call this embroidering. If you've watched my art journal classes, you know what I mean. And I just love this part of the whole process, is adding the details. So if it gets a little if it starts disappearing, you can just add a little bit more white ink. So that's what I'm going to do. And then you can just layer again your paint. So I'm almost done with this. I just want to do one more thing. So I just want to paint a little bit of the background. So thinking about art journaling, and if we want to use this as an illustration for our art journaling, then I might want to just not cut it out in so many pieces. I just want a more or less a solid piece to cut it out from. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a blue, and I have a little, you can use any kind of blue. In fact, this this blue is probably the closest to Prussian blue, but I love Prussian blue, so I'm just going to squeeze out a little bit of blue on a palette, and I'm using Winsor & Newton blue. Here you can see it. There it is. And I'm just going to use a small brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of water to it. Look how stunning this is. So I'm just going to paint around my image. So this is a little risk I'm taking. Let's see if it works, because it might not work at all. So let's see. So I love this color, and I think it just brings so much life to this whole little watercolor that we're doing. And I'm not going to paint the whole thing, but I'm going to just do a little bit in between, like here. Everywhere it's hard to cut out, I just want to do a little bit of blue. And I mean, why not? This is our painting, and we can do with it what we want, right? There's no right or wrong in art. That's the good news. So I'm just gonna go, and so because the stems here are very dark, I'm just gonna use a little lighter blue and paint in between there, and then I'm not going to get too close. And I love this look. Don't you like it? Or would you prefer without the blue? I won't be offended. I'm not easily offended. I think that's why I can do what I do, is because I don't really mind if people disagree and say no, you should have stopped long ago. But so just a little bit. I'm not going to do too much, and then maybe on this side also a little. Okay. I'm almost done, like 2 more minutes. So if you have any questions, now's a good time to ask me. For those of you who joined late, the whole idea of this little watercolor painting is to do illustration from scratch so that we can use it on our art journal page, maybe that I want to make when I have time again, which might only be next weekend. So okay, but now we need some blue here. Hey, you agree? Like, we need some blue at the top. So there you go. And almost done, just a little bit here at the bottom as well. So it's not just the image that we colored, it's really, we did a little painting. So, you know, there you go, all done. I will show you just the final product up close, and I love how it dries, how it dried. Let me just see, here you can see it, and the light is good. Wait, I need to hold it a little closer, and there you can see the final product. There you go. And thank you so much for watching, and you know, just hanging out with me. I am very excited to do more of these videos, and I just want to do after cut videos. So maybe I'll do an acrylic painting, but next up we'll use this image as our inspiration for an art journal page, and I will have the link or the drawing that we did available for you, and I just want to show you again. So you can just download and print it. This is how it's going to look, and I'll have it available for you. So I'm going to digitalize it right now and just put it on my website, and you can download it and create with me. Okay, thank you so much for hanging out, and I'll see you again on the interwebs. Bye.